Hello class, and welcome again to another lesson of JavaScript operators. In our previous lessons, we have looked at the concept of arithmetic operators. We also looked at assignment operators and comparison operators. In this particular lesson, we want to look at the logical operators. And the logical operators include the logical OR, we have the logical and the logical NOT. And please note the symbols that are used for each. For the logical OR, we use the double vertical lines. The logical AND uses the double ampersand, and the logical NOT uses the the exclamation mark. With that said, let us take a practical example within our code to demonstrate how we can apply and use the logical operators. So with that said, I want to turn over to my Visual Studio Code, and you can see this is our previous code that we had. In this code, we have two variables, x and y. In the variable x, we have stored the value 58, and in variable y, we have stored the value 50. And in this next line here, we want to make use of the logical operators. The logical operators are used to evaluate when you have two logical expressions to evaluate. And here, for example, I'm going to say console.log x greater than y, and then I have to use the logical operator here, and the logical operator I'm using is and x greater than, or I mean x equals to y. So when you look at this statement, I have two statements that I'm evaluating. The first is that I have a condition x greater than y, and I'm also saying x equals to y. So if these two conditions evaluate to true, then I can print true on the console, and if they are false, then I'm going to print the value false. So when you look at the value of x 58 and y 50, if you try to evaluate this, the condition is saying x must be greater than y and x must also be equals to y. So when we save this code, and now let me run the program again, and you're going to get the value false. Why? Is because the first condition x is greater than y is true, but x is not equals to y. So even though the first expression evaluates to true, the second expression evaluates to false, and since it is false, then it will since one of these is false, then we are going to print false. So the AND operator here is the logical operator to evaluate the two conditions. So it says the two conditions must be met for us to have true. But now suppose we have another condition which says maybe x greater or equals to y and x also greater or equals to y. We have this first condition as greater than, and then the second condition as greater than or equals to y. So with that condition, we expect to print the true, because it is true x is greater than y, and it is also true that x is greater or equals to y. So the two conditions are satisfied, and therefore on the console you can see the value true is printed on the screen. So this is an example of using the AND operator. We use the AND operator to join two logical statements. The two logical statements in this case is this one and the other one on the left. The next logical operator to look at is the logical OR. Logical OR is used to evaluate two expressions of which one of the expressions can be correct. If one of the expression is correct, then the value true is printed. So here we can say, instead of using and, we can use the logical or. So if any of these two expressions evaluates to true, then we are going to print true. So it says x is greater than y, or x is greater or equals to y. So let me change this condition to x is less than y. So when you read this expression, it says x greater than y or x less than y. And since the first condition evaluates to true, then the output will be evaluated to true. So now when we print this statement, you're going to see on your console right down here, there is a value true printed because one of these conditions is satisfied. 58 is greater than 50, but 58 is not less than 50. So this other one is evaluated to true, and therefore the other one is not even evaluated. The next logical operator to look at is the logical not. The logical not is used to negate or to give the opposite of what is true. For example, if you come within this expression and you say x is greater than y, that is true. So when you evaluate, when you run this program, you're going to get true because x is greater than y as per this. But when you use the not before it, so I want to add another second bracket inside, and then around this bracket I'm going to use the not using the exclamation mark. And now when you use not operator, it will be printed as false. So not will convert this from being true to false, and if it was false, it will convert it to true. So that is the meaning of the operator not. So that's all about the logical operators, and they're used to evaluate more than 3 expressions which are logical. So you can use the logical or the logical and, or the logical not. In the future upcoming lessons, we shall take more practical examples to see a real application of and, or, and, not. And with that said, I want to pause this lesson here, and then in our next lesson, we will take a look at the JavaScript data types. Otherwise, thank you for joining this class, and see you in our next class.